Kerch Bridge target. The Kerch Strait Bridge connects occupied Crimea to mainland Russia. 19 kilometers of concrete and steel carrying Russian military supplies and reinforcements. USS Porter positions in the Black Sea with 50 Tomahawk Block V missiles programmed for one target. This simulation demonstrates how American naval power could sever Russia's lifeline to Crimea in 15 minutes, creating strategic isolation that conventional warfare cannot achieve. The bridge represents Russia's most critical infrastructure investment in occupied territories. Construction cost exceeded $4 billion. The structure carries road and rail traffic, including military equipment, fuel, ammunition, and personnel flowing from Russia to Crimea. Russian military operations in southern Ukraine depend entirely on this bridge for logistics support. Destroying the bridge would isolate Russian forces in Crimea, forcing reliance on vulnerable ferry operations or risky air transport that Ukrainian forces could easily interdict. Navy Power TV takes you inside the targeting analysis that reveals how American Tomahawk missiles could eliminate this strategic asset through precision strikes that Russian air defenses cannot prevent. Which bridge section is most vulnerable? A. Road spans. B. Rail spans. C. Support pillars. Comment your answer below. American military analysts studied the bridge extensively since construction began. Satellite imagery provided detailed measurements of every structural component. Engineering assessments identified critical failure points where relatively few precision strikes would render the entire structure unusable. The analysis revealed that destroying key support pillars and span connections would drop entire sections into the strait, creating gaps impossible to repair quickly while under continued strike threat. The targeting plan allocated 50 Tomahawk missiles across 15 critical aim points. Multiple missiles per aim point ensured complete destruction, even if some missiles malfunctioned or were intercepted by Russian air defenses. The Tomahawk Block V's ability to receive in-flight retargeting allows missiles to adjust to targets already destroyed by earlier impacts. This adaptive targeting prevents wasting munitions on aim points already neutralized, while ensuring complete destruction of the intended target structure. USS Porter's 96 vertical launch cells contain sufficient Tomahawk inventory to execute the strike, with missiles remaining for follow-on attacks or other targets. The destroyer positions in international waters beyond range of Russian coastal defenses. The Tomahawk's 1,500-kilometer range allows launch from positions where the destroyer faces no threat from Russian weapons, while the missiles can strike any target in occupied Crimea. Stay with me, because what happens next reveals the brutal calculus of precision strike warfare, where defenders must succeed perfectly, while attackers need only a few weapons to penetrate defenses, creating catastrophic damage. Russian air defense protecting the bridge includes S-400 batteries, Pantsir short-range systems, and electronic warfare equipment designed to defeat cruise missiles. The defenses represent sophisticated integrated air defense network that would challenge any attack with less capable weapons. Tomahawk missiles employ multiple features specifically designed to defeat defenses, including terrain-following flight that uses ground contour to mask approach, stealth shaping reducing radar cross-section, and electronic countermeasures that corrupt defensive radar targeting. The missiles would approach the bridge from multiple directions simultaneously. Russian air defense operators would face incoming threats from north, south, east, and west within same 60-second window. Defensive systems must prioritize targets, achieve radar locks, launch interceptors, and guide those interceptors to successful impacts, all while being jammed and facing more targets than available interceptors. The mathematics of air defense favor attackers when offensive missiles outnumber defensive interceptors and approach from multiple vectors compressed into narrow time window. How many Tomahawks could Russian air defense intercept? A. 10 missiles, B. 25 missiles, C. 40 missiles. Answer at end. Realistic assessment suggests Russian defenses might intercept 15 to 20 missiles under optimal conditions. That leaves 30 to 35 missiles impacting their targets. Each critical structural point receives multiple hits, ensuring complete destruction. The bridge spans collapse into the strait. The support pillars fracture, the rail and road surfaces drop into the water. The structure becomes completely impassable within 15 minutes of first missile impact. Navy Power TV examines the strategic implications that extend far beyond immediate bridge destruction. Russian logistics to Crimea collapse instantly. The peninsula becomes isolated territory dependent on ferry service that Ukrainian missiles and drones can easily target. Russian forces in southern Ukraine lose their supply line, requiring emergency rationing of fuel and ammunition. The military impact cascades across the entire southern front, creating opportunities for Ukrainian counteroffensives that Russian forces cannot resist without adequate supplies. The economic damage exceeds the $4 billion construction cost. Russia loses the primary transport route for tourism and commercial trade with Crimea. The annexed territory becomes economic liability rather than strategic asset when connection to mainland requires vulnerable ferry operations. International shipping through the strait becomes safer as Russian military traffic decreases. Regional economies benefit from reduced Russian military presence that the bridge enabled. Quantity versus quality demonstrated when quality includes precision weapons that destroy targets. Defenders cannot adequately protect, regardless of how sophisticated their air defense systems appear on paper. Comment Q or L. If you believe American naval strike capability makes Russian infrastructure vulnerable despite defenses, type Navy Power TV right now. The political implications reverberate through Russian domestic discourse. Putin's signature infrastructure project destroyed by American weapons delivered from ship Russia cannot locate or engage. Russian air defenses proven inadequate against American cruise missiles. The occupation of Crimea suddenly appears unsustainable when logistics depend on vulnerable ferry operations. Political pressure mounts for negotiations that acknowledge military reality of defending territory isolated by destroyed bridge. Ukrainian morale surges when seeing tangible evidence that Russia's grip on Crimea can be broken through strike operations that Russian military cannot prevent. The reconstruction timeline extends for years even if Russia attempts immediate repairs. American surveillance would detect any reconstruction efforts. Follow-on strikes would destroy repairs before completion. Russia faces choice between accepting permanent bridge loss or attempting reconstruction under threat of repeated strikes that make project economically unsustainable. The strategic calculus shifts dramatically when defenders must rebuild faster than attackers can destroy. NATO allies observe the demonstration with increased confidence in American strike capability. The bridge represents Russia's most heavily defended infrastructure outside Moscow. If American missiles can destroy it, then Russian military bases, command posts, and logistics hubs are equally vulnerable. NATO planning benefits from recognition that American naval forces provide strike options, eliminating need for manned aircraft penetrating defended airspace. Chinese military planners studying this scenario recognize implications for Taiwan Strait infrastructure. Any bridge or tunnel connecting Taiwan to mainland China would face similar vulnerability to American cruise missile strikes. The Three Gorges Dam, Chinese naval bases, and critical infrastructure all within range of American destroyers carrying Tomahawk missiles. Chinese defensive planning must account for American strike capability that makes fixed infrastructure liabilities rather than assets when facing adversary with precision weapons and political will to employ them. Which defensive measure could Russia improve? Air defense density, interceptor quantity, or early warning? Share assessment. Technology supremacy through precision strike. Answer to quiz. Russian air defense might intercept 20 missiles under optimal conditions, but 30 missiles penetrating defenses ensure complete bridge destruction. No defensive system achieves perfect effectiveness against saturation attacks from multiple directions, with advanced defensive weapons employing electronic countermeasures and stealth characteristics. The bridge strike simulation demonstrates capability that influences diplomacy more effectively than actual strikes. Russia knows American missiles can destroy the bridge. America knows Russian defenses cannot reliably prevent such strikes. Both sides understand the strategic reality, creating diplomatic pressure for negotiations, avoiding conflict where Russian defeat is predetermined by technological disadvantages they cannot overcome. The deterrent value of demonstrated capability exceeds the military value of executed strikes when adversaries rationally assess their defensive inadequacies. Can Russia defend the bridge against determined American strike? Evidence suggests no. Their air defense interceptor inventory is insufficient for saturation attacks. Their radar systems struggle to track terrain-following cruise missiles against ground clutter. Their electronic warfare cannot jam GPS guidance that operates independently. The defensive problem is fundamental rather than technical, and cannot be solved through incremental improvements to existing systems. Revolutionary advances in defensive technology would be required to defeat American Tomahawk strikes with high confidence. What's next for critical infrastructure security? Continued vulnerability for fixed targets within range of American naval strike capabilities. The precision revolution makes bridges, dams, power plants, and other infrastructure targets rather than protected assets when facing adversaries with cruise missiles and political willingness to employ them. Russian strategic planning must account for infrastructure vulnerability that conventional defenses cannot mitigate. The Kerch Bridge remains standing only because political decisions prevent strikes, not because Russian military capability prevents American weapons from destroying it. Subscribe to Navy Power TV, where elite naval power meets strategic strike analysis, proving American Tomahawk missiles threaten critical infrastructure despite sophisticated defenses through precision and numbers that overwhelm defensive capabilities. Superior weapons, strategic targeting, devastating capability. Hit notification for analysis showing why American naval strike power makes adversary infrastructure vulnerable anywhere within 1,500 kilometers of international waters, where American destroyers operate with complete impunity.